So before I begin, I just want to set up a quick situation. What if one of your employees handed in their notice later on today? What would that be like? What would that feel like? Now, what if you had procedures in place to make it a fairly painless process of hiring a new employee, basically replacing that employee who's leaving, and getting them up to speed quickly and efficiently? So you had a hiring system, you had a training system, and a way to manage that new recruit. So now, how would that feel? I mean, I think it's really important to pay attention to this because this is what it means to systemize your business. How you do things is carefully thought out and documented, implemented, and innovated to make it better. Now, I'm sure you all know this. The challenge is how. How do you do this? How do you systemize your business? And that's what we're really going to be focusing on today. I want to, first of all, thank Bobby Burns for hosting today's event. Bobby is a former eMyth business coach, worked with the eMyth for over 6 years. Part of his work there also included training, writing procedures, and running the eMyth Brain Bank resource. And he's currently working as an independent business coach, and he focuses on small business leadership and business transformation. My name is Michael Mills. I'm one of the founders of Business Design Corporation. Our company has been a group of master certified eMyth consultants as well, but we've been doing this for over 17 years. We've delivered Michael Gerber's eMyth Mastery Program to many hundreds of businesses. But what we found was that while we were delivering good business theory, very few of our mastery clients were actually getting their procedures and job descriptions documented, which in our minds was the very point of the program. So we went about working on a way to make eMyth theory practical, to create a simpler way for systemizing a business, a way to put eMyth theory into practice. Now, Michael Gerber has sold millions of copies of his eMyth book, and there are lots and lots of consultants out there and books that are written. There's a great one called Built to Sell by John Warillo. Michael Gerber's The eMyth Revisited is a great book. Millions of books sold out there about how important it is to systemize your business. We speak to thousands of entrepreneurs every year, and when I ask them, have you had an opportunity to systemize your business? Almost all of them will always say no. Why is that? Why is it that almost everyone knows they need systems, but almost no one has done it? And you've probably known you need to do this for years. This is not a new concept. Well, we believe that there are two key reasons why this doesn't happen. The first, the lack of a systems development plan, and the second, the lack of a systems development tool. So we're going to focus on these two issues because if you can systemize your business, you'll be able to achieve what we call business freedom. And that can look like a number of different things. It could look like you're able to call in for the numbers from the British Virgin Islands or wherever that might be. The BVIs is just a metaphor for some incredible place where you love to go, which isn't necessarily work. And you could just be calling in for the numbers. Someone's managing your business for you. It could mean maximizing the value of your business so that you can sell it for what it's worth. Today's event was titled Double the Value of Your Business because studies show that you can actually double the value of your business if you've completely systemized it. It could also mean doing what you love to do in the business without having to do all of those things that you don't enjoy doing. And just knowing that all those things that you don't enjoy doing are all getting done well by someone else who probably does like doing them. So here's an interesting statistic. Studies show that employees retain approximately 18% of what you tell them when you're training them by way of the show and tell method, which is how most managers train. What happens is these employees are thinking about other things. They're thinking about a question they might want to ask about what you're training them, or they might be thinking about the date they had the night before. But what they're not thinking about are the intricacies of what you're telling them. Without a documented procedure, they're going to remember less than a fifth of what you're telling them. And the result, the employee doesn't achieve what is expected of them and they quit or they get fired, or worse still, the owner fails to fire them and there's this huge opportunity cost. Brad Smart, in his book Top Grading, writes that the opportunity cost of a failed hire can be as much as 10 times the value of their salary. But more than anything, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for the employer, you. It's frustrating for the new hire, and it's frustrating for all of the other employees in the business. What we say is that for every frustration in your company, it's the result of the lack of a procedure. Don't blame the employee. Don't blame yourself. Blame the fact that you don't have a set of documented instructions that someone in that position could follow. A set of instructions that tells them what you need them to do, what you expect of them when they do it, and they need to be able to find these instructions easily, and they need to be current when they find them. Documented procedures effectively implemented could dramatically change this employee training retention statistic of 18%, which is why you can get a double decaf, half calf, mocha, grande, caramel, cinnamon, dolce latte, or whatever at a Starbucks in Canada, or in Cupertino, California, or in Mumbai, India. It always tastes the same in whichever country you purchase it. So I think it's important here to identify what I mean by documented procedures, because this is different than a policy manual. So many people we speak to will say, oh, yeah, we've got policies. And when I look at what they've got a policy manual, not a set of documented procedures, and there's a misunderstanding there. So they're often tied together. What is the difference? Well, policies, these are high-level overall plans that embrace the general goals and directives of an organization. So these are usually topics dealing with employee discipline, behavior, dress code, harassment, things like that. So they're these policies. A procedure, on the other hand, are step-by-step instructions with expectations, or what you might call key performance indicators, to accomplish whatever it needs, whatever it is that needs to be done by each employee in every department in your organization. So a company might have a procedure for qualifying a new lead, for doing an initial consultation, for delivering a product or service, for following up, for onboarding a new employee, for collections. Basically, if you can think of anything that you would need to train someone to do, some routine in your business that you would need to train and delegate to someone else, it needs a set of step-by-step instructions. That's what a procedure is. Procedures help employees and managers do what they need to do to be able to achieve a consistent and reliable result. As an example, back in October of last year, October 2014, and I know this because I was doing research for a human resources presentation I was doing in Lethbridge, Alberta. I was doing some research, and I found that Starbucks had announced that it has just changed its dress code and will now allow employees to show non-offensive visible tattoos as long as they're not on the face or throat. So this is a policy. It's a policy about tattoos, sort of interestingly enough. But if you've been in a Starbucks recently, you might understand why. So this is a policy around tattoos, and it basically says that you're allowed to have non-offensive tattoos as long as they're not on your face or throat, which is why this will not be an employee working at Starbucks near you anytime soon. On the other hand, an example of a procedure. A procedure would be the detailed steps taken to make a double decaf, half calf, mocha, grande, caramel, cinnamon, dolce latte. If I was a barista at a Starbucks, I would have a documented set of step-by-step instructions on how to make this rather complicated concoction. So the presentation today is focused on procedures because I believe these are what are missing in most small and mid-sized organizations. So why do you need procedures? What's the value of having a systemized business? There are many, some of which will depend on what type of business you're in. Some of these are obvious. For example, some of you may need procedures for compliance. to easily maintain an ISO accreditation or to be in compliance with OSHA regulations, but every one of you needs systems for delegation so you can grow, for consistency, so you can expect reliable results from everyone in your company. You need to be able to monitor and track activity so you know how to grow. If you're doing things consistently, then you will know whether what you are doing is working. If you are not doing things consistently, then how do you know if what it is that you're doing is working? And to prevent brain drain, so you don't lose your procedures, people are going to work for you and they're going to come up with some really great ways of achieving what they need to achieve. It may be an innovation on one of your existing procedures, or it may be an entirely new way of doing something in your business. You need to capture that. If you don't, that process walks out the door when the employees leave, and they will leave. I have an example of this. I hired an appointment setter to help me in my business to create appointments. And when this appointment setter, probably about 2 or 3 months into our engagement, she said, "Do you use LinkedIn to create procedures and do you use LinkedIn to find leads?" And I sort of said, "Well, I don't really." And so I asked her, "Do you?" And she said, "Well, I was working for a previous employer and we had this great process." And I said, "Well, tell me about it." And as she explained it to me, I said, "Well, let's do that." Well, in a typical company, she would have just done it. In a TouchStone company, in a process-dependent company, I had her document her processes. So now we have a fully documented LinkedIn system, and it's very powerful. You also need procedures because they're going to maximize the value of your business. Process documentation builds in the qualities that will allow it to be sold for the highest price buyers are paying for businesses like yours. On the contrary, your business, and please don't take offense to this, your business is mostly worthless if it depends on you. If it depends on you, a buyer will offer you what is called an earned buyout. This is typically a small amount of money up front, with the rest of the money dependent on achieving performance goals in the years ahead. So you'll be required to stay on for 3 to 5 more years to be able to get your money if you're able to achieve these performance goals. If you miss your performance goals, they won't be obliged to pay you what you agreed to. So you take on all the risk and you're not in control of the outcome. Point number 7, you want to create something that gives you an options strategy versus an exit strategy. An options strategy means to have as many choices in the future as possible. When you're following an options strategy, you create operating procedures, you build a management team around you so that if a buyer comes along or you decide it's the right time to get out, you have a sellable business. You can see a way, they can see a way to invest and scale your operation. They can see that this specific lead generation procedure, for example, will generate this many leads. And this lead conversion procedure will generate this many sales with an average value of this many dollars. It better allows a buyer to estimate the size of the opportunity. Or your option strategy might mean that you install a president and move yourself into a chairman's role, which is kind of a quasi-exit. Or maybe you stay involved in a day-to-day role and you work on building an enduring company that can go on without you. And finally, point number 8, you need procedures because your company will be more fun. It'll be more creative. It's more fulfilling. There's less chaos and less frustration in a business that is systemized. It's simply a better place to work. And as a result, you'll find better employees who are more loyal and who work with more creativity and enthusiasm. But that said, there are many challenges to creating a process-dependent business. How do you get your procedures written? How do you keep them current? How do people find them when they need them? And how do you get your employees to follow them? For example, let's say you're writing a sales process and you begin by writing down the detailed sequential workflow. Do this, then do that, then do this. It's what we call a work plan or an action plan. That might be all there is, right? It's just a clearly written document outlining all of the steps to take. So you write it up in Microsoft Word, you save it to your network, you share it with your sales team. And while you're training them in this new procedure, you think, it'd be great if I had a checklist to track each step of that sales process so I could see where my sales team is on each of their projects. So you create a checklist. And now your sales process has a work plan and a checklist. And you save that on your network. And then as you're listening to your sales team deliver this new sales process to their prospects, you realize that they're all saying different things. You know, some of them are saying really great things, and others are saying things that are not so great. So you think, you know, I should create a script of the best things to say, and then I'll workshop it with all of my sales staff. And that way, everyone will be performing well. So you write a script and you workshop it with all your sales staff. And now your sales process, it has a work plan, a checklist, and a script, and things are humming along really well. But now is when you begin to think, you know, where am I going to store these 3 different Word documents so it will be really easy for my guys to find them when they need them? Or if I hire a new salesperson, I can train them. Or if I innovate them, I can find them easily to change them. But you think, you know, I'll get to that later. And then what you realize is that your sales staff really needs a proposal document. They need an easy and consistent way to generate proposals for their prospects quickly and efficiently. So you create a proposal template in Microsoft Word, and you create an Excel spreadsheet for calculating an estimate consistently and accurately. And then you think, you know, it'd be helpful to create a video, maybe a training video, a screen recording of the process of creating the proposal, and a sample audio so they can hear what a great presentation sounds like. What you will find is when you're developing procedures, more and more ideas come to you as you get better and better at this. But what ends up happening is your sales process, in this example, it now has a work plan, a checklist, a script, a Word document, a spreadsheet, a training video, an audio recording. So you see, a process is rarely as simple as just a clearly written document outlining the steps that need to be taken. That's just not all there is. There is always so much more. So given there is so much more to it than just a document, how do you organize these different elements for the same process? So there's, you know, this script and work plan and all these different elements. How do you organize them all for the same process? You can't put them all in file folders. How does your staff find them when they need to use them? How do you keep them current? I mean, to make sure that everyone is always using the most current version. If you don't have an easy way to access these procedures, if you don't have an easy way for your people to use them, if you can't keep them current, there's just not much point in even trying to document your procedures. You essentially what you need is a tool to be sure that they're available when they need to be used or when they need to be updated or edited. And in today's fast-paced business environment and ever-changing technology, these processes will need to be edited monthly or quarterly. It's just what happens. What's the solution? How do you make policies and procedures these living, organic documents that are tools used in the everyday activities of a business? So many companies know they need them, but so few companies do it very well. How do you do that? Well, I mentioned earlier, and I'll say it again, that there are 2 key things that are missing in most organizations that are necessary to make this happen. The 2 key needs: you need a systems development plan for getting the procedures written, and you need a systems development tool, some sort of an application for making it easy to consistently write and organize the procedures so that they can be kept current and so your employees can find them when they need them. Let's start with the plan. And we've developed a 5-step systems development plan. You would have received some documentation on this. You should have received some documentation on this prior to today's presentation, the business systemization kit, but I'm going to go through it very briefly today. We use the systems development plan to discover, prioritize, document, implement, and manage all of the procedures in a business, and there are 5 steps. The first step really isn't about systemizing at all. It's about understanding your destination. What is your business going to look like 3 to 5 or even 7 years from now? After all, if you don't know where you're going, how are you ever going to get there? Step number 2 is to create a graphic picture of what your destination is going to look like, and this is going to become your organization chart. Step number 3, you simply define the procedures that you think are necessary in that future organization. How will you generate sales? How will you deliver on the promises you made in that sales process? What back office procedures are going to be going on behind the scenes, like hiring, firing, payroll, invoicing, collections, backing up your computers, checking for viruses, all this stuff, all of the administrative and financial activities. How you guide and manage the business from where you are today to where you want to get to. So in this step, you're not describing how the process is done. That will come later. In this step, you are simply naming what needs to be done. In step 4, once you've named the procedures, you will connect them to the boxes on your organization chart. So think about this. You've identified everything that needs to be done in the business. You've identified all of the positions that you'll need in the business, and you've connected everything that needs to be done to all of the positions. You've created complete functional accountability. Everything that needs to be done is being done by someone in the business. And then what you'll start doing is hiring people for these positions on your org chart. Many times, as your business is growing, you, the entrepreneur, or a couple of other people in your organization will be filling multiple boxes on that organizational chart. I'll speak to this in a moment. But essentially what you've done is you've built functional accountability, and now using that organization chart as a strategic growth tool, you can begin to determine who am I going to hire next? And you have a functional job description with all of the activities that someone in that position is going to be held accountable to, so that you can hire them, so that you can train them, and so that you can manage them. And managing is basically holding someone accountable to the procedures on their job description. So it's what we call building the systemic infrastructure of your business. You've got a blueprint of your business in terms of all of its procedures, all of its positions, and you've linked those two things together so that everybody knows what they need to do and what's expected of them. And finally, in step 5, you will simply prioritize those procedures. Which are the ones that are the most important to get written as soon as possible, and who's going to help you write them? This is always an interesting step, because you might think that what you do is the most important process, but it's not necessarily the most important process that needs to be written. If you had an executive assistant that answers the phones, that does the filing, that makes bank deposits for you, does whatever she does, and all of a sudden she's going on maternity leave, your girl Friday's about to leave. It would be really great to replace her and get someone up to speed as quickly as possible. But most business owners, they haven't a clue what their girl Friday does. They just do what they do, and it's a huge step backwards when they lose that person. Now, almost every business owner I speak to will ask me, how long is it going to take to systemize my business? Well, before I really go too far into that, it's important to know that systemizing your business, it is not, and I repeat, it is not a project. It is a process. And the actual writing of your procedures is ongoing. It never ends. And the 5-step systems development plan doesn't get you to the place where all of your procedures are written and finished. And that is that. It gets you to a place where you've built this systemic infrastructure. So it's designed to create that systemic infrastructure, and depending on the size and complexity of your business, it really should only take 4, 6, maybe 10 hours. We typically say 10 hours or less, we can get you to this place where you've defined and organized all of your procedures, you've created an organizational structure of your entire company, and you've created job descriptions for every single position on your organization chart in 10 or less hours. So even if you got to this place, you've accomplished a very powerful series of steps. You're very clear on your vision. You have a clear understanding of all of the positions and processes you need to achieve your vision. You've created complete functional accountability. You have all of your job descriptions built, and you have a prioritized plan for getting all of your procedures written. This alone, 10 hours or less, is a huge step to systemizing your business. So that's the plan. I'm going to share with you today a tool. It's called the TouchStone Business System. It's a tool designed to make it really easy to consistently write and organize procedures. I will say that everything I'm about to show you, it could be done in Microsoft Word. It could be done in Google Docs or Dropbox. 3-ring binders, that's how we used to do it with our clients. But I'm going to use TouchStone. I'm going to show you TouchStone today because we've had 17 years of experience systemizing businesses. And what we've discovered is that 3-ring binders, saving them on your computer or using some document sharing application like Dropbox or Google Docs or SharePoint, it just doesn't work. These are document sharing tools, and a process is almost more complex than a simple document. So what really helps is having an application that is specifically designed for process implementation and management. So TouchStone is designed to keep your org chart available and current, to transform your job descriptions into really useful tools for hiring, training, managing, and evaluating, and to keep your procedures current and available. So the first step then is to define your destination. What is your business going to look like 5 years from now? This is such a critical step. Studies show that if you do this and you take action and track and communicate the process that you make on the vision, you have a 300% better chance of achieving your goal than if you don't take this step. You just take this step. It just takes so little time to do it. You have a 300% better chance of achieving your goals. So why do few business owners actually do it? In many cases, it's because they just don't know how, and they get stuck in this rut of coming to work every day, churning it out, and there's no purpose anymore. Your employees are coming to work, churning it out. You're coming to work, churning it out. What is the purpose? Why are you doing this? So again, they just lose sight of it. And in many cases, it's because they don't know how to do it. So they say, I'll get to that. And they back burner it. So I'm going to actually toggle over to a TouchStone account. And I'm going to show you what's available to you. Because TouchStone's not only a great tool for organizing and writing and implementing your procedures, but there are a lot of really great tools built into the system. And this is not a demo of TouchStone today. I just want to talk about the process of strategic planning. Remember, this is this first step in defining your destination. This is how you do it. I'm going to actually go into TouchStone. I'm going to click on the database here. I'm going to come up to Add from Process Library, and I'm going to drop down into a process called strategic planning. And by the way, anything I'm showing you today, Bobby Burns has made a deal with me that you can have access to any of this stuff today. You're going to have access to a free trial of TouchStone for a month. You can have access to all of our procedures. You can literally download all of our processes from our process library if you like. No problem. But I'm just going to go through a little presentation on strategic planning here. I've also got a great blog that I've written. If you go to my website, businessdesigncorp.com, and you'll see this later on. If you go to the website and you go to the search menu at the top, it's taking a moment here, under blog, you'll see a great article that I've written on strategic planning. And this is just a great process to lay the context of why you want to do strategic planning and how. But we've got this process built right into TouchStone. Typically what we recommend is that you go through this process of watching the video. So if you click on watch the video first, this sort of lays out the outline. Watch this video. Once you've watched the video, you want to create a vision. You want to create a strategic plan. You want to create a meeting rhythm. You want to create your meeting agendas, and then you want to track and adjust your KPIs. All of these work plans are right here. How do you create a vision? You come over here, click Create a Vision, and this walks you through the process of creating your purpose, your values. What is a purpose? What are values? What is your big, hairy, audacious goal? It's all right here. We give you examples that you can use. Once you've created a vision, you're going to create a strategy plan. So this is basically developing a plan so you can stay on course towards achieving your vision. You're actually going to take what you know you need to do, and you're going to break it down into annual priorities, quarterly priorities, monthly priorities, weekly priorities, maybe even daily huddles. So this is what we call the meeting rhythm, and we've even got suggested deliverables, what you should be achieving in these each of these types of meetings. We've even got sample meeting agendas. So this is a sample meeting agenda, what you might do in an annual and quarterly meeting. This is a sample meeting agenda for what you might do in your monthly and weekly planning meetings. So step by step, you go through, and this is how you create and implement a strategic plan. A strategic plan is useless if all you come up with is a vision and you never take action on it. That was a complete waste of your time. So strategic, obviously coming up with that vision, your mission, purpose, and values, this is critical. But if you don't take action on it, it's just a waste of time. That's just the first step in creating a strategic plan. Then the rest of it is ongoing. So I just want to give you a sense. There's in here. There's actually there's a full document here. There's a form that you can fill in. If you click on this form, you can actually click on this and go through and start setting your annual priorities, your quarterly priorities, and you can add new processes for your monthly priorities and your weekly goals. Anything here can be run out to a printer or to Word so that you can hand write it. I'm sort of a pen and paper type guy, so I love running things out to a piece of paper. So that's simply a strategic planning process. That is step one of your 5-step systems development plan. So now you've got your destination, you've defined your vision, you want to create the graphic picture of what that business is going to look like organizationally. How many salespeople are you going to need? How many client fulfillment people will you need? How many back office support people will you need? How many managers will you need? So in step number 2, you're going to create your org chart. And this is the org chart of your future company, because your future company's org chart is going to be very similar to what you're doing now. It's just more of it. But creating your org chart will help you define positions, and it'll be able to help you see the positions that you will need to hire in the future. It will become a strategic tool that you'll use to help you grow your company. Who do I hire next? Who will they report to? What will they be doing? How will I manage them? How will I hold them accountable? Now you might say, how do I do this? And how do I really know what I'm going to want? I don't really know what I'm going to want, so therefore you don't do it. I say no, do it. Make assumptions. Document your assumptions. It's so easy to do this. Again, we give you a great tool for doing this. This is another part of the TouchStone account. It's so easy. You can add positions. You can remove positions. You can rename positions simply by clicking on them and changing the names. You can, everything in TouchStone is drag and drop, so you can move positions around. What you will find is as you are growing your business, the org chart becomes this dynamic tool in your strategic planning process. You will actually use your org chart. We do again, I tell you, we do thousands of conversations every year, and I'll ask a business owner, do you have an org chart? And they'll say, oh yeah. And I'll say, can you send it to me? And they'll say, well, I'm not sure where it is. Or they'll say, well, I should probably make it more current. I haven't really looked at it for 2 or 3 years. And, things are way different now. Or I'll be talking to someone and they'll say, yeah, well, we're just in the process of hiring an appointment setter. And I'll look at their org chart and there's no appointment setter on their org chart. This doesn't make sense to me. Why are you hiring an appointment setter when there's no appointment setter on your org chart? What you want to do is you want to look at your org chart and say, you know what, we really need someone to help us set appointments. Let's add an appointment setter. So you would come in here and you'd say, add appointment setter. And that appointment setter is going to report to the manager of sales and marketing. Bingo. Now we've updated our org chart and we're going to start creating a job description for that appointment center. And we would do that by probably delegating processes from one of these positions to this position and take them off these positions and give them to this position. So an org chart is such a powerful tool. The problem is most people don't know where it is. It was just an exercise that they did from a consultant that said, you need to get an org chart. And so they do it, and it's never really used in the organization. TouchStone allows you to keep these things current. They're dynamic. You make assumptions in this process. It's easy to change them. What we say, both Bobby and I say when we've through our eMyth coaching, we talk about this as being a stable and dynamic process. Stable meaning if you're a chiropractic company or some type of company, you're not going to be moved from being a chiropractor to being a retail shoe store. That's not very stable. But dynamic, things change. So it can be things can change, and you need to be able to easily access. You need to use these tools to be able to make them change. So if you don't have TouchStone, you just need a way to have a easily access to your org chart. Okay. Step number 3. Identify and name all of the procedures that you think are necessary in your business. It's all about naming the procedures that you think will be necessary for achieving your vision. So in this step, you want to step back. I want you to think about your business in a new way. I want you to rise up above the landscape of your organization and think of your business as having 4 key functions. Essentially, you've got a key function of getting the business. These will be all of your sales and marketing procedures. You've got a key function of doing the business, and these will be all of the procedures for delivering on the promise that you made or your salespeople made in the selling process. These will be systems for client fulfillment, production, customer service, all of the systems that directly relate to what you do for your clients. You've got another key function for running the business. These are the procedures that go on behind the scenes, like invoicing, paying your bills, collections, purchasing, hiring, firing, financial statements, budgeting, cash flow, all these things. All of the financial, administrative, HR type processes and IT type processes. And finally, and this is what's missing in so many businesses, you've got a key function for what we call guiding the business. These are the strategic systems for leading, managing, and guiding the business from where you are today to where you want to get to. Essentially, what we say is that your business, my business, any business out there, in the simplest of terms, there are 4 core activities that have to happen. You've got to get the sales. You've got to deliver on the promise. You've got to do all of these things that go on behind the scenes, and you've got to guide and manage the business to where you want to get to. So let's actually do something real simple. Let's toggle back to TouchStone. How do you go about naming the processes? So let's go to the sales. I always like to begin here, and this is where I recommend you begin. And if you're going through the process in the business systemization kit that we sent to you earlier, and by the way, if you didn't get this, just please email me or put a text in the chat box, and I'll send you that document. You should have received this prior to today. So let's click on getting the business. These are basically all of your sales and marketing processes. So the first step you're going to ask yourself is, well, actually the first step you're going to ask yourself is, where does the sales process start and the client fulfillment process, the sales process end and the client fulfillment process start? So it might be a contract. It might be a handshake. It might be a purchase order. It might be a signature on an estimate that you've done for a kitchen remodel or something like that. You just want to mark that point where selling stops and you absolutely know that this prospect has now become a customer. Everything up to that point is going to go in this key function that we call getting the business or sales and marketing. So you ask yourself, okay, how do we generate leads? And you might say, well, we do direct marketing. That seems to be coming back right now. So you do direct mail, and that's going to be lead generation. So we're going to put that there. Maybe you've got your website. So you've got strategic engine options on your website. That's also lead generation. Maybe you use LinkedIn, like I said earlier. So you've got a LinkedIn process. and that's also lead generation. So let's just say those are the 3 lead generation methods that you use. After you generate a lead, what happens next? Well, maybe you do an initial consultation. Maybe, and I would put this now under nurturing and converting leads into sales. Maybe you do an estimate or a proposal. So you might have a proposal and an estimate or something like that. I would put that under lead nurturing and converting leads into sales. Maybe you schedule an appointment or something like that. You schedule your first appointment. If you're a landscaping company, you'd go out there and you do a review, you do a meet and greet, etc. Again, there's some great procedures. You can go into our process library and look at what other types of things. There's a needs-based selling, really cool little process right here that would be part of nurturing and conversion. And in the needs-based selling process, it's a cool little process that we wrote. You prepare for you prepare for the sales call, you greet and introduce yourself. There are little work plans for each one of these steps, determining needs. There's a process for going through determining needs. There's just all sorts of great procedures that you can use here that we've already developed. Here's one that I use. It's called the initial conversation. What's it called? The first appointment call, I think, or the initial conversation. Let me just see. Oh, here's that LinkedIn process. A couple of great. That would be part of lead generation. I'll show you what that looks like. And then we've also got, where's that initial conversation? The LinkedIn process is great. There's some fantastic how to join and mine LinkedIn groups, how to do prospecting strategies. This process is for editing your LinkedIn profile. We've also got a couple of other great processes, but this is all there is, guys. You just want to define your processes, and typically what we say is go through identifying all of the procedures that you can think about before you go to our library. Once you've identified everything that you do, then go to our library and fill in the blanks. You'll probably think of about 60 to 65% of the things that you do, and then our library will help you support that process. Okay. There's also in the business systemization kit, if you don't want to try out TouchStone and you don't want access to our library, there are links to a list of sample process names for each of the 4 key functions. So you could do this like on a piece of paper or in a Excel spreadsheet and have 4 different worksheets: sales and marketing, client fulfillment, finance and administration, and management and strategy. You could do that. And we've got in that business systemization kit, we've got templates of process names for you. Okay, so in step number 4, you're going to link the procedures that you've named to specific positions on your organization chart. In doing this, you're creating clear and measurable job descriptions for every position in your company. And you're creating complete functional accountability. You have defined all of the tasks that need to be accomplished for someone who's filling this position. And you've defined all of the positions that need to be filled in the company. And you've assigned all of those tasks to specific positions, so you are now confident that everything that needs to be done has been assigned to a position who will do it. Again, it's very simple. You come up into here. Let's see this appointment setter. This appointment setter is going to be following up on, let's say, lead nurturing. They're going to be doing the initial consultation. They're going to be doing this needs-based selling. They're going to be doing the proposal. You simply link all of these processes and you build your job description in this way. It's a very, very simple process. And just a quick word about job descriptions. If you look at a typical job description, most of the companies I speak to, when I ask them if they have job descriptions, usually they say, well, yeah, I have a few, but not for every position. And rarely are the job descriptions current, because they're usually only used for hiring. And once the position is hired, the job description gets filed away until a new employee needs to be hired for that position. And then, they look around for that old job description. They determine whether or not it's accurate, and then they make the changes, and the process continues. I mean, it's crazy. The purpose for the job description for most people, it's for hiring. It's not for anything else. And if you look at, this is a sample. I wanted to put this up because this is actually a job description that I got from a prospect I was speaking to. And if you look at this, you think, is this a job description? This, to me, looks like an ad for hiring someone. Gorgeous high-tech endodontic practice in Saratoga, California is seeking a highly motivated, organized, enthusiastic individual. I mean, this is an ad. This is not a job description. This is what a job description looks like in TouchStone. This is an actual job description from our TouchStone application. It's basically, these are all of the procedures that I need someone to do. And when someone needs to know how to do something, they would simply click on this, bingo, and that procedure is going to open up for them all of the different elements and tools that they need. So the job description in a TouchStone account is used not only for hiring someone, but it's used for training them, it's used for managing them, and it's used to evaluate an employee. So it's a very, very powerful organic tool that again, it's dynamic. It's fluid. It moves with the as the employee evolves, so does the job description. And again, when someone needs to know what to do, they simply click on the position they hold on your org chart to access their job description. They look for the specific process they need to perform. They click on that, and a set of instructions on how to perform that task pops up. So this is why TouchStone's been designed. It's been designed to make it really simple to find and implement procedures. How would you do this in a document sharing program? That was, in 1997, before TouchStone was developed, we used to create operating manuals for our clients, and we made them Word documents, but they rarely worked very well. Okay. The experience we often hear more than not when someone is trying to systemize their business is that it's difficult to organize all of these different Word documents, checklists, spreadsheets, excuse me. So employees can't find them when they need to use them, or the manager can't find them when they need to update something. I spoke earlier of the complexity of procedures, how they can have many different elements. They can have a work plan, a checklist, a script, a PowerPoint presentation, Word, Excel templates, audio, video, training aids. In TouchStone, all of those elements are organized under the process name, and the process is then linked to the position on the org chart that becomes the position's job descriptions. Now, many of your procedures they'll be simple. They'll just be a work plan, for example, but many of your procedures will be more complex. And as you train and manage employees in a specific procedures, you'll find that these procedures, they also tend to be fluid, and they grow with more and more detail. They can get more granular. This is actually a process that my appointment center follows for following up leads from our pay-per-click campaign. And you'll see up here that there are 3 different work plans. There are probably a dozen scripts that she has. There are a couple of uploaded files. There's some videos. There's some audios. There's all sorts of content in this process. It's all at her fingertips. This one line item on her job description that she can click on and then have immediate access to all of these different elements. So documenting procedures, it's not rocket science. It's not easy, but it's simple. It just takes time. And it's important for your organization to think of it as a process rather than a project. It's something that happens over a span of time and continues to happen for as long as the business is alive. Processes evolve. So I like to say you want to consider this as an evolution rather than a revolution. You do a little at a time. You don't have to be focused on doing it all day long and every day, and you do it when you have a reason to do it. For example, if you had a frustration, either do it then, write the process, or if you're busy, just get it started. Create the process name, write the broad strokes steps on how to do it, and then schedule some time to fill in the details later. It really just takes about 5 minutes to do that. Another way of getting your processes documented is during the training of a new employee. Have the new employee write down what you're telling them, and then give them some time during the day, it's a great thing, because you know what it's like when you get a new employee. What do you do with them all day? You're paying them, but you're busy. You don't have. It's like it's a nuisance trying to deal with them. Give them some time during the day to document what you've told them, and then you'll review it and edit with them what they wrote down the following day. So think of how well trained they'll be. You're telling them how to do what they need to do. You can be sure that they're paying attention because they know that they're responsible for documenting what you're telling them, what they're learning. And then they're writing it up, and then you're going to review it with them the following day. So you're engaging multiple sensory experiences. You're engaging an auditory experience, a visual experience, a kinesthetic experience, and you're repeating the process 3 times. Once during training, once during writing it up, and a 3rd time during a review. Very powerful way to get your processes written. Another idea is to create a game of it. Gamification is really big these days. I'll share with you one quick story before we close. We had a client who was a Century 21 real estate brokerage firm. They had 25 agents in their office. Their problem, 80% of their revenue was being generated by 20% of their agents. I just want to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way, and that's what I told Carl, the business owner. So we created a contest. We took their top 5 producers and we made them captains of 5 teams. We put 5 of their greenest agents on each team and divided the rest of the agents randomly on the rest. So we basically had 5 teams of 5. And the contest was to deliver the best listing presentation. And we had 3 judges. There was the business owner, Carl, his father, who used to own the firm, and the owner of the title company that they used most frequently. The teams were given 3 weeks to come up with their presentation. There were only 2 rules. The presentation had to be less than 3 minutes long, and it had to be delivered by the rookie on the team, the greenest member of the team. There was a great gift offered to the winning team, so everybody wanted to win. And it was amazing. There was all this camaraderie and competition amongst the teams, camaraderie within the teams and competition amongst the teams. On the day of the presentation, there was just an incredible amount of creativity. The presentations were done really well, and Carl, the business owner, he recorded them. He had these were little 3-minute, 5 3-minute presentations, and he got his video camera and recorded them. He took the recordings home over the weekend. He compiled all the best points and he brought them back. And over the following 2 weeks, he workshopped this with his agents until every single one of them could do a fabulous listing presentation. As a result, his sales jumped exponentially. No longer was it 80% from the top 5. Everybody was doing a great job. And more work started happening. His agents were more fulfilled. They were making more money. They knew how to do what they needed to do. So it was a really, really great game that we put in place there. Okay, so as a next step, we're winding down now. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the message box in GoToMeeting. But as a next step, I just want to encourage you to take action. So many people, they come to these webinars, they get all jazzed, and then they just go back to work. So one of the things you can do is you can register for a free hour of coaching with Bobby. I'm going to show you how to do this in another. And you can also schedule a demo, a personalized demonstration of TouchStone with me. And there are a couple of ways that you can do that. To register for a free coaching call with Bobby, just send an email, write this down, bobbyrayburns@gmail.com. And just put in the subject line, free 1-hour coaching call. Or you can also call them, 707-837-5796. So just send Bobby an email, bobbyrayburns@gmail, and just tell him you want a coaching call. And he can take you through almost everything I'm telling you today is Bobby's really well versed in this. He's been doing this for years and years and years through the eMyth organization. Bobby and Bobby's organization and my organization, we have the same background. We were both mastery consultants for years and years and years. And our whole TouchStone tool that we've developed is built around this whole idea of eMyth mastery. If you want to register for a demo, if you've got your cell phone right now because you might not want to click away and send an email, you can just text the word Burns. That's Bobby's last name. So text to the number 707-800-3603. Just text the word Burns to that number. It's a cool little process, guys. I mean, it'll give you a great idea of how to do a lead generation process. When you text the word Burns to that number, it's going to automatically send you a text back saying, hey, thanks for your interest. Can you tell me what your first name is? And then it's going to ask you for your email address. And then it's going to automatically start a process for sending you an email to generate a date and time for your demo. And it's really soft. This is not a sales process, really. We're really soft sellers. We want to show you a really cool tool. If you want to try it, you can try it for free. You can also go to our website, businessdesigncorp.com, or go to this link, businessdesigncorp.com/demo. You can register for a demo. You can even try the application for free for a month. So I want to end with one final thought on the importance and value of having documented operating procedures for your business. And this comes back to the point that we made in the landing page when you registered for this event, double the value of your business. The value of your company is not exclusively based on your annual revenue or your profitability. It is based on your procedures. If the business is not duplicatable, the business cannot be brought to the next level. So whether you want to make it scalable for yourself or make it scalable by somebody else, you cannot do it without procedures. It's simply, if you sell it for what it's worth, it's just lucky. It's not something that just happens. So if your company's procedures are documented, especially in a tool like TouchStone where you can actually show it, it's not just manuals, that when you're ready to sell, you can just show your potential buyers all of your intellectual property. You can just lay your procedures out for them. It will blow them away. And studies show, Paul Lenberg, he's the CEO of Quantum Growth Consulting, he reports that you can increase the value of your business by as much as 100% simply by systemizing it. Every system that you write, even if you don't write all of the procedures, every system that you write for your business is an asset, and it has value, and it adds value to that business and to anyone who's interested in purchasing your business. So in conclusion, this is another great book from a friend of mine, a guy named Scott Fritz, who wrote The 40-Hour Work Year. He says, to me, the basic definition of a business owner is someone who can afford to hire an employee to do their job. Until you can afford to hire this person, you don't own a business, you own a job. I love that. To me, the basic definition of a business owner is someone who can afford to hire an employee to do their job. What if you could hire someone to do what you do and you could call in for the numbers from the British Virgin Islands? Great concept. Okay, any questions from any of the participants who joined us today? Just want to open up the call. If you have a question, go ahead and type it into the, oh, yeah, okay, I am seeing a question. Hold on a second. How secure is the website? Is our information safe? Absolutely. We use the Amazon servers, so I mean, it's just like banking. There's all of your content is accessible only by who has passwords, and you can set up passwords for individual users in your organization. You can control what they can see. So if I've got a salesperson, I can set it up so that they can only see what's on the salesperson's job description, and you can control what they can do with what they can see. So maybe I have 3 salespeople, and one salesperson's been with me a long time, and I really trust him, and I want him to help me write the procedures, but the other 2 are not so loyal, maybe they're fairly new. So I give them read-only access to the processes that are on their job description, and my loyal long-term salesperson, I give him create or edit capabilities for the procedures that are on his job description. So again, in terms of overall sense, we are using the Amazon servers, so they've got a ton of security. The only people that have access to your data are the people that have your login accounts and passwords. You can control what people can see, and you can control what they can do with what they can see. Let me see if there's another question here. Someone is asking me, Jeff says, in TouchStone, is there a way to document workflow in a chart format? Good question, Jeff. Right now, there are so many other tools out there for documenting flowcharts. When I create a process, I don't actually use a charting document. I go step by step through the process. So I use a work plan. So if we were to go to here, somewhere in here, I think I used this as a demo the other day. So when I'm thinking about it, like let's look at making coffee. It's like fill the coffee machine, grind the coffee, put in a filter, pour it in, turn the coffee machine on. I think in terms of a very linear, simple way for writing up the process. You want a very consistent way. Now that said, if you do want more of a charting format, there's some great tools out there. And what you'll do is you'll take that you'll just add you'll take that map, that chart, and you'll upload it as a PDF file, and then you'll just put it in at the beginning. I've seen a lot of people do that. But you really want to keep things as simple as possible. Jim is asking, what's the cost of the service? We have two applications. We have one that's $49 a month, and we have the more robust application, the one that you're seeing here. It's $149 a month. No setup fees, no support costs, month by month, no term agreement. You can quit at any time. What I would recommend is, and you can try it for free. Bobby set up this deal. If you go to our website, you can just click sign me up for free, or just type in Burns to that phone and set up a demo, and then I know that you guys are with Bobby's group. Any other questions before we end? Okay, not seeing any other questions. So I just want to say thank you to Bobby Burns for bringing me to you today. I want to thank you all for joining the event. If you have questions, my email address is mmills, that's like Michael Mills, mmills@businessdesigncorp.com. Our website, obviously, is at businessdesigncorp.com. A lot of great content there if you want to go there and play around and look at some of our articles and videos. You can call us. This is my direct number, 707-522-6253. You can also contact Bobby, BobbyRayBurns@gmail.com. Oops, sorry, Bobby, I forgot to change the website here. It's oops, it went to the wrong, and I ended the slideshow. I apologize. There's a different website for Bobby, and I'm spacing on what it is right now. But Bobby, let me just, or if you're there, I'm going to unmute you. What's your website, Bobby?
Yeah, let me get my headset down here. Yeah, that's it's really difficult. It's Bobby Burns Coaching.
Okay, www.bobbyburnscoaching.com. Right. I apologize for that gaffe. No, I missed that in my So again, thank you everybody for coming today. If you have any questions, feel free to call Bobby or myself. And I hope that you take advantage of the offers. You'll have been received already an email from us with the links to the offers and how to take advantage of them. So thank you very much, and take care, everybody. Here's to getting the business that you deserve.